Yes, thank you very much for this, and thank you very much to listen to me today on this session that is with this new word, you're right, antifragile. So I will speak about what the term behind. Just to present a bit myself, so I'm Ludovic Lisenven, I'm Principal Business Consultant for QAD, working since, let's say, about 27 years in planning. You heard maybe about Dynasys solution. I work for DSCP solution, Demand and Supply Chain Planning solution, clearly, as a solution of supply chain planning of QAD. Something important you have to learn from today's session is two things. The QAD solutions around supply chain, of course DSCP is one of them, and the term antifragile we introduced today to you. And that's come from a discussion I had with a few colleagues earlier, in, let's say last autumn. We did a great reading about the term antifragile coming from Nassim Nicolas Taleb, professor in New York University, who wrote a fantastic book around organization and antifragility in this organization. So I try to orientate all my presentation around this terminology. It's a terminology that I do not manage by heart, but if you want to read the book, please read the book. It will give you a lot of insight to create your anti-fragile organization, to create resilience, and all the stuff you've already heard from everyone today. So if I just get into a bit of the plan of my presentation, 20 minutes we got to spend together. As you heard from my accent, I'm coming from France, a very nice region in east part of France, Alsace. And I'm going to create a bit of context. Those contexts, of course, create on a day-to-day basis for all supply chain manager important challenges, as we know. So the question is really turning around how to thrive in this world of disruptions and discontinuity and events permanently happening, and everybody's concentrating on those terms. So it's something interesting to think about antifragility in this kind of world. Of course, QAD solutions will come at the end and try to support, and our organization is done like that, to create this kind of antifragility. So context is all around disruptions from all the world of everyone today, as you heard, and that's the topic of any discussions. So if we come back to all the stuff, the term really raised close to the pandemic, before in 2020 or in 2019, everything were quite smooth. We were in a world that was predictable. Now predictable is more complex and difficult. And if we look at this world, in fact, all the production and the supply planning was more lean. Everything was concentrating on optimizing unit costs of item and things on markets and stuff. Now everything is more complex. The pandemic arrived, a lot of disruption arrived. Companies try to survive in this situation, finding spare resources anywhere, building stock, since so much reaction according to this pandemic, building stock to avoid problematic of suppliers that are not delivering stuff in time, in full. All that were really critical during this period. It's still the case today, of course. I'm not going to send a pure definition of disruptions, but we know that it comes from anywhere when it's unexpected, sudden. But what is important to retain here is that it's really a perception from your business. Some business could be impacted by a disruption that is not affecting another one. So it's not something global, it's something that is perceived differently according to any businesses. So you always have to find your place in where you are, how you can react to that. Of course, it could be critical components that are not coming on time in full. It's linked maybe to the fact that you build a very mono-sourcing supplier activity. Here I'm concentrating on the upper side of your supply chain. But it could be also on the downside of it. The market becomes very volatile. So that's something important to have always in mind when you speak about disruptions. The last one, and I would like to put a chart on that because we speak about inflation a lot, and what does it mean? So I put just recently two chart I get from internet and the OECD, of course, site about the consumer price index and the production price index. So that's critical index showing you for the last 5 years how the price grow. What makes me afraid is not the fact that inflation is here. It's concrete, no problem, we see that. What makes me more afraid is about you, manufacturer, or you, supply chain manager, to see who is going to pay for this inflation. We see, of course, the price of the consumer goods going and rising, but when you see the difference between the level where it was before 2-3 years ago and the level of the production price where it was before and where it is now, today it's the manufacturer who are paying the inflation. It's not so much the consumer if we look at the curves. So I'm very anxious about you. And I'm pretty sure that some businesses are at risk if we just look at this curve, because you have increased your cost a lot, reduce your margin, and speaking about EBITDA earlier, is reduced a lot according to what I see on purely a basic graph there. And that's something important. You have to think about the different levers you could have to react and to be agile against this real fact that happened on the market. One question today in the room, there is a few people here. Who is really impacted today by the cost of material and components in his job? Everybody? So good. Okay, normally it's normal. That's just a proof. Okay. So to do so, there is different levels, of course, to act. One that could be quickly said and displayed is maybe to play on your service level. It's maybe not good, but we know that if you reduce a bit the service, you can maybe not pay too much on the rest of the things. That could be a quick reactions to that. But the other things to find is other sources for the material or for the component. And bringing on the table multi-sourcing activity is now a normal way of thinking. Now, how to become an anti-fragile organization? So let's try to introduce antifragility, if I try to name it like that. What it is not, that's the best way to introduce it. It's not fragile, that's clear. Antifragile is not fragile, it's not breaking easily. But something interesting, if you read the book of Nassim Nicolas Taleb, is that it's not robust. Antifragile is not robust because robust is a state of something that resists but does not change. And antifragility is exactly also an opposite of robust, because at a certain level, your robustness, if the peak of the event is really important, you become fragile very quickly. So in fact, the link between robustness and fragility is really closed, but the idea is really to get to this antifragility with, let's say, more resilience, a lot of agility, flexibility, so all that is there. All the term antifragile contain all the terms that you have heard today from everybody about resilience, agility, visibility. That's what it is. And this is how we really appreciate this term, because it's embrace exactly the situation that you have to really focus on if you want your organization to thrive in this disruptive world. Agility and the challenges behind this. A lot of companies I work with concentrate on symptoms. Oh, I've got too much stock. Oh, I've got a late arrival from my raw material from my supplier. Oh, all that is symptoms of certain things. It's really important to consider those symptoms, of course, but to get in a deeper detail. If you just stay at the symptoms level, you will quickly see that when you kill a symptom, another one appears somewhere else. So it's important to get the better outcomes of your reflection to concentrate on the real root causes of those symptoms you see on your supply chain. Root cause analysis in supply chain is something that is, as you understand and you know it by heart, cross-functional. So it's not easy, and we know that from all the discussion before. That's why you have to really find experts in any domain of the supply chain to concentrate on finding the real root causes of the issue you have to correct. You also have to be sure that the provider of the solution you work with has a sufficient broad band of solutions to cover all the topics you would like to highlight and on which you would like to cover issues. How to thrive in this world? Today, what QAD proposes in terms of solutions for you guys is clearly a big offer in supply chain. Of course, I'm coming from supply chain planning. So my 27 years of experience in this domain bring me to this tool that is named QAD Digital Supply Chain Planning. Originally, the name of this business was Dynasis in France. If you heard about it maybe once in your life, know that the term is QAD Digital Supply Chain Planning today. Of course, we've got a fantastic dynamic model. It's not a static one. There is no limit in number of structure of items, markets, resources, sites we are going to manage. That's something that we are built really cleverly in a way. We, of course, implement a lot of financial elements to bring you to the result of what is the scenario planning going to give me in terms of revenue, in terms of margin, in terms of cost, in terms of inventory levels, all that on a very nice pages and very nice way to make decisions effectively. So we are in a world where there is not anymore one planning and you push it towards a different level of your plan. It's a multiple scenario planning every time, every day, every week, every month that you have to run to collect information and to react and to be proactive. If I remember this morning session from Mart, the guy who carried so much during Afghanistan war, planning is something critical and a game that is very important to play on different and various scenarios. And I like this idea of gaming, not in war, but gaming in planning, because it's exactly that. You have to propose different scenarios at any stage of the decision-making process of your company. Otherwise, you are not ready to act when it happens. And it was exactly in phase with this message. But it's not just digital supply chain planning when I speak about QAD today. QAD today is also providing a lot of collaborative tools that are very important in the supply chain. Clearly, we embrace now digital commerce. So it means we bring directly the solutions towards your customer with a solution that was previously named WebJaguar, if you want to know the term. We have thousands of customers there having their own website, providing high complex visibility of their product directly to their customer. It could be really customized product, because we work with some window makers, you know, where you need the size of the window, the form of the window, the size of everything, the colors, the different tints, and so on. So it could be a really complex, customized product that could be managed with this digital commerce tool. You have also to collaborate with your suppliers on another side, and that's our supplier relationship management tool. That is also a really nice tool to provide you and working for RFPs to choose new supplier, do auctions also to choose those suppliers and to choose the best one for your business, and you see all your KPIs in front of that. All that are working with some of the best automotive manufacturer in Germany today. We work for Volkswagen in this area. We work for BMW in this area, so it's not nothing. Of course, we act also on the procure-to-pay part of it with a solution named demand and delivery. This is where we clearly create where it's not possible and where there is not EDI solution. We also provide demand and delivery solutions. So it means a web portal for your supplier to completely and directly interact with you on real time, knowing when the shipment is done, are you going to receive on time in full the product, and all that in a nice way, directly, of course, on a website. But it's not that, it's not just collaboration and efficiency behind that. We also get onto a very thin detail of execution with our global trade and transportation execution solution, on which we added a lot of free trade agreements, automation, and a lot of foreign trade zone also automations. All that to provide, if you manage big exportation of parcels everywhere in the world, very quick compliance and regulatory documents in a timing manner that you have never seen in a normal import or export area of business. And that's really a fantastic tool that, if you remember the whole term of this tool, was precision software, very well known also on the market. That is the global trade and transportation execution solution of QAD. Today, this is where we are in the world of supply chain with QAD. A list of portfolio solution, an organization with experts in every domain that make us also anti-fragile. We are small teams working with you with expertise on every domain of those pictures that you see here. So becoming anti-fragile is creating also teams that are not big, and read this book again from Nassim Nicolas Taleb. You will see he's trying to fix the size of team to be efficient in each area of organizations. So building small teams working with us can really be efficient in gaining points and gaining more market share and more reliability and resilience. I had my presentation, maybe a bit earlier than I expect, but that's it. And my presentation ends with a famous French poetry from the 17th century. I bend and do not break, from Jean de La Fontaine. And thank you very much for listening.